Hello everyone, it's your girl Lala and I'm back with another video. So today's video is going to be a recap / review on Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 4, Episode 4. Now let's get into the video. Now this past season, this episode I should say, was actually, I don't know, I think it was a lot. I think it had a lot going on this episode. The prior episode last week was kind of dry, but I think they kind of put a lot into this episode. So let's get into it. So this episode starts off with Melody and Tiffany at Melody's house. And so they are having a conversation. And in that conversation, Tiffany brings up the book signing. Well, let's go back, actually. Let's go back because they first start off with the conversation in regards to, Tiffany makes a comment about, I guess, the conversation she had with Stormy, and Melody does tell Tiffany that, she's rather opinionated. This is kind of the first time I hear Mel kind of, let Tiffany know that, in a sense, that Tiffany is bringing something to these situations or whatever. I wish Mel would have probably got a little more into it and probably gave Tiffany a little bit more criticism. But she did say, well, you are opinionated. Basically, it kind of seemed like she was telling Tiffany, like, it's not just all, on Stormy or all everyone else, like, you are opinionated. So they moved from that conversation, and Tiffany asks Mel, she makes a comment about she thought Mel would be at the book signing. So Mel tells Tiffany, that, she had just found out a day or so ago, like a day or so before the book signing, and that, it was her week, and, also that she had death in the family. So, Tiffany kind of proceeds on, and then Tiffany makes the comment and she says, well, there's three sides, one side, the other side, and the truth or whatever that she says. And so Mel, of course, makes the comment and she's like, well, basically like my side is going to always be the truth or whatever is kind of the comment that Mel makes. And so from there, that conversation kind of leads into, Tiffany making a comment about how, when you have a home and a marriage, a family that gets separated, like, these are the things that happen. These are the things that happens with co-parenting and living separately and blah, blah, blah. So this brings Tiffany to, talking about her own marriage. I believe Mel might have asked her why she got divorced. As well in this conversation. I think Tiffany started to say some things and Mel asked her why she got divorced. And, this led into Tiffany kind of, sharing some information about her past marriage, which comes to find out, her ex-husband, he is deceased. He passed away. And Tiffany, surprisingly, it seems as though her first marriage ended because, she just wanted more. I guess what he made was not enough. It seems to be that it was a bit on a financial side. It kind of looks like it came down to money is why her and her ex-husband, got divorced because, she wanted more. I guess he couldn't provide a certain lifestyle or, what it is that she was like looking for. And she started to get really teary. She started to tear up a bit, talking about it. And it seems that, she has a lot of regrets about that past relationship because, in hindsight, it's kind of like she's saying that, it shouldn't have been all about the money, or that shouldn't have been, the reason that they broke up, or, it really shouldn't have been about that, and everything. So that was very interesting. It was very interesting because Tiffany didn't come, she doesn't come off to me as, as a woman who, is, I don't know. I don't want to say like, all about money or whatever, because at the end of the day, you don't have to be a woman that's all about money to want a man to make more, because, it can be simply about lifestyle in regards to, you want to be able to vacation. You want to, you want to live in a certain community, a nice community, and, things like that. which doesn't always mean that it's because like he can't afford to buy you like a Chanel bag or, you know, things like that, or money in that sense. So I don't know. We didn't get, you know, they didn't get into the conversation that deeply, like, you know, whether it was, you know, that, you know, he just really was more so of a struggling man, or, you know, or what. But I just found it interesting. It was nice to see a little bit more information and get some like backstory about Tiffany, especially with her ex-husband, especially because her and Louis are so vocal about other people's marriages and just different things. And Tiffany's always making comments about people's marriages and different things. So it was nice to just, you know, kind of get a little information about her. So, you know, that's where Mel and, you know, Tiffany's conversation went, and, you know, that was pretty much what they talked about. So now we get to Kimmy and Tisha, they meet up. And so, you know, their meet up, they're catching up and talking. And so in a conversation, Kimmy brings up the reunion. Kimmy made a comment, well, she was asked a question at the reunion, and I believe that, you know, the question was something like, is, you know, Letitia, you know, the type of person that you would hang out with if she wasn't family or outside of the show or something of that sort. And Kimmy said no, that Letitia wasn't. And so this obviously caused a bit of friction between the two of them, and you can tell that Tisha was hurt by the answer that you know, that Kimmy had gave. And so in this episode, Kimmy decides to take the time to kind of elaborate more and address that comment, well, that answer that she gave at the reunion. And so Kimmy was saying kind of like, well, listen, her thing was that Tisha wouldn't be the type of person because her and Tisha keep getting into these scrolls and getting into these like back and forth arguments and things like that. And so Kimmy is kind of saying like, you know, for me, I got about one good time to get into a back and forth with somebody, and that's about it. I'm not going to keep doing it. We're going to have to end our friendship, go our separate ways. And so Kimmy was kind of basically saying that's where that answer came from. You know, that's what, you know, she meant by that. I don't know if I buy that. I'm sorry, Kimmy. For the most part, I see Kimmy to be a pretty straightforward person and all, but I don't know if I quite buy that. I really don't. I don't know if I quite buy that. I think that what she said and how she said it and how we interpret it is how she meant it, is what I think. You know, I don't think that they would be friends outside of this, because I think it's more than that. I think that Kimmy would be turned off in the friendship by so much of the drama and the cattiness and the immaturity with Tisha and everything else. So I think Kimmy was trying to, you know, I don't know, maybe just trying to smooth things over to get them in a better place, knowing Tisha and how sensitive she is, probably realizing that, you know, she didn't mean for it to come out like that. Didn't want Tisha to take it like that. But I think at the end of the day, I think Kimmy was being very honest. I think that Tisha is not typically the type of person that she would be friends with. So anyway, they talked about that. So then they move on to the conversation where Kimmy is now telling Tisha about the pajama party. Now she's telling Tisha about the pajama party, and in telling her this, you know, the information about the pajama party, Kimmy done tell Tisha that, well, a lot of the conversations were about you. Now, I'm kind of on the fence here with Kimmy on this, because I kind of feel that Kimmy could have left. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think Kimmy maybe could have just left this out. But I do get that, you know, as a friends and, you know, they sisters and all this other stuff, you feel like you were in the presence of conversations, and so you want to let her know and things like that. So I guess I do get it from that aspect, but it seems that, I don't know. It just seems like it's creating more drama and messiness than anything. Of course, but that's what it's supposed to do, right? I mean, this is the whole point, you know. Even though, that's not, what they're trying to say it's about. But we all know it's about like creating the most drama and messy as you possibly can, right? I was a little surprised, though, I guess, with it coming from Kimmy, because Kimmy is not usually the one that's bringing the bones back. She's usually not the dog with the bone. So I was just like a little surprised, that, she just, I don't know, that, she just bought, she bought this back. And then later on, from the looks of it, it's like, it doesn't seem like, I don't know. Anyway, so we'll get to that. So Kimmy and, Tisha talking, she's telling her the conversations and things that occurred. And then she gets into, the part that Tisha's cousin, Kiki, was there. So, of course, that was shocking to Tisha, because she's like, okay, I didn't know that Mel and Kiki were like that cool or whatever, which is all you see is like all for the drama, all for the show, obviously, because later on, it doesn't make sense why Kiki would have been there, because it doesn't seem like Kiki and Mel are that cool like that. And it does seem, obviously, that Mel has met Kiki through Tisha. So, I mean, that's like rule 101, that's like 101. Like, I mean, come on, that's number one. If Tisha's your cousin, and the way her and Mel fell out, if for Tisha not to be invited, if for you to be invited, it's like, you decline that. But anyway, so, they get to talking about that, and Tisha says that, she thought that her and Kiki were in a good place. So it looks like Tisha may be a little blindsided by Kiki, number one, at Melody's pajama party, and number two, I guess talking negatively and, things like that about her, because she thought that, they were in a good place. So, as you know, later on, we'll get to Tisha and Kiki's conversation when they meet up. So now we get to the next scene where Marceau is at his Black Cigar Lounge. So he's there. Maurice ends up coming. He's there, and Maurice ends up coming. He joins in the scene, and so Maurice is telling him about, he just got back from his vacation, and, he's trying to share some things with him about his vacation. So one thing he tries to share, he makes the comment that Kimmy's a different person on vacation. Took him 3.5 years to realize this, because it took him 3.5 years to take on the damn honeymoon. But anyway, but he realizes that Kimmy's a different person on vacation, and so he expresses this to Marceau. So Marceau initially, I guess, wasn't catching what he was saying, and so, he kind of elaborates a bit. And, Marceau is like, basically like, okay, man, like TMI, and like, that's my sister-in-law. And it's always so funny with me with certain things with Marceau, because in certain ways, Marceau is very traditional and private, and it's like, I don't know. I guess I see Marceau a little bit as a chauvinistic type of guy and a little sexist. So it surprises me how, for me to see him like that, he still shies away from a lot of like personal conversation, or like, he doesn't seem like the guy that's going to talk about, what he did in the bedroom, or what a woman did, or, different things like that, or whatever. It's like he shies away from it. Or maybe it's just the fact that he's one of those guys where, as though he's not going to talk about his wife, and he doesn't want to hear about a woman that he loves and he thinks of as a sister. But if it's some old like side chick, or something, then maybe he discusses that, but maybe not, these women that he actually care about and things like that. I don't know, but nonetheless, I find it to be interesting with Marceau. So, Marceau wasn't here for it. He wasn't here for Maurice and his, comments about, I guess, how much sexual fun and how good of a time they had, and what Kimmy put on him on their 3.5 year delayed honeymoon. So he wasn't here for it. So later on, Lewis shows up. He ends up coming into the scene as well. He meets up with them. And so, of course, the conversation comes up about Lewis and, and Marceau in regards to the reunion and some of the tension that they had. Maurice, asks so Lewis and Marceau, they're talking about, what's been going on and been transpiring in regards. So when Lewis is talking to Marceau, he does bring up, of course it comes up in regards to the tension that they've been having that stemmed back from the reunion episode. And so Lewis, basically tells Marceau, he kind of had a question. He wanted to kind of talk to him about some things. Marceau is telling Lewis, like, before you say anything, take a shot. Like, you need to take a shot. I don't want to hear anything before you take a shot. So anyway, the conversation, begins. And so Marceau once again starts expressing to Lewis about, he doesn't have the right. It's not his place to talk about his marriage. And Marceau gets into the whole thing about, his marriage is real life. He asked his woman to marry him 26 years ago. And, he goes on and on about, all of that. And I mean, at this point, it is like a little redundant because I feel like they've already been having this conversation, or I don't know, maybe it's the side clips that they've each been having, with other people. I don't know, but I just feel like this conversation has been had already. Lewis listens, Lewis makes a couple of comments. He does say that, he kind of stands by his initial feeling of, of thinking that, he should have the right. So it's interesting because Marceau makes a comment and says that him and Lewis, I guess, knew of each other for many years. And it was like in passing type of, hey, what's up? And things like that. But they weren't like friends. So it seems like it's a disconnect between, I guess, the level of friendship and where they are, between what Lewis thinks versus what Marceau thinks, because it seems like Lewis is looking at it as if like Marceau was a friend of his, and it seems that Marceau was looking at it like Lewis is just, maybe like an associate, or, just like a, hey, what's up, somebody I'm cool with, I see here and there type of thing or whatever. So I don't know. That in itself is an issue because, it definitely, the delivery is definitely going to be received different depending on what status the person holds in your life. So I'm pretty sure if, one of Marceau's like good friends maybe said something, maybe it was been taken a little different. I don't know. The whole thing is just giving too much energy for nothing. It's like, listen, just make it clear at the end of the day, you don't want him speaking about your marriage. You don't want his advice about your marriage. And just draw that boundary line and let's keep it pushing. Because at this point, it's just like, it's getting a little exhausting with, this whole thing with Marceau and Lewis about, his comments and, blah, blah, blah. I see it both ways. I really do. I can see how Lewis could have felt that, it was fair and it was okay to make those comments. And I could see how Marceau could have gotten offended and Marceau feels how he feels. But furthermore, though, the thing is that when Marceau said to Lewis about, you made the comment about I'm in a bad marriage or whatever, that wasn't Lewis that said that. That was actually Tiffany who said the comment, something about, maybe that's why his marriage or their marriage isn't so great or something like that. So that wasn't even actually Lewis. That was actually Tiffany that made the comment. I don't think Lewis ever really made a comment in regards to his marriage being good or bad. From what I recall and what I've always seen, Lewis just always had these little like tidbits of advice. But I don't recall him ever making a comment in regards to his marriage like being bad or, speaking badly about his marriage. So, but I'm not sure. And, once again, we only see what they edit in to show us. So we don't, I don't know if another conversation took place or what. But from what I saw, I see where Tiffany has made comments about, their marriage and saying like, oh, it's like if they don't talk to each other and things like that, I've heard her say that. So, but hopefully we can, hopefully we're done with this. You know, it looks like we are about done with Picturegate. I'm so glad. I don't think anything came up about the picture this week. So glad about that. And hopefully this Lewis and Marceau thing is over with. Oh, and another thing is that Lewis had a lot of energy when he was talking to Tiffany about it, you know, about, you know, how he felt about everything, you know, and it was like, you know, like as if he was looking to check Marceau. He didn't have that same energy when they met up. You know, he didn't have that same energy. And not that I was expecting him to be all aggressive and going off and things like that, but I expected a little more firmness from Lewis, because I feel like he kind of like just backed down a little bit. In the end, he ended up apologizing to, you know, Maurice. I'm sorry, and so he ended up apologizing to Marceau. He did end up apologizing. And then Maurice, you know, he stuck his 2 cents in, and he's like, well, Marceau, don't you think that you owe Lewis an apology for how overboard you went and, you know, everything else or whatever? And so Marceau, he gives in and he does apologize, which I feel like Marceau only did it because, you know, he's pegged as not being one to apologize and not accepting responsibility when he's wrong, or I should say accountability when he's wrong. So I almost feel like he just did it just to kind of prove a point, like, see, I can apologize. I will apologize if I'm wrong or whatever. So, but at any rate, they both apologize to each other at this point. So hopefully we are past that and we are over it, okay? Hopefully. So then we have Martell meets with his manager. And, you know, he meets with his manager, they're talking about the event that took place with his little book signing. So, of course, the conversation steers to about the girls, about the kids not showing up and the kids not being there. And, you know, she does, you know, make the comment like, you know, we'll be sure next time to kind of plan when we know you have the kids, which, I mean, duh, I think that should have been a plan from the beginning, but okay. And then this conversation, you know, they go into, she's asking him about, you know, some, I guess, future events and things that she has in the works for him, and, you know, asking him about who, you know, he would want to have to attend something upcoming that he's planning on doing. So he, you know, so he names like Marceau and, you know, Maurice. And so she kind of puts the pause on it like, well, listen, you know, your friends got a lot going on the internet these days. And that's not what we need. You know, like, that's not what we need. I guess she's like, listen, I got my hands full as it is trying to clean things and spin things up with you and your life and everything else you got going on. I don't need your buddies with, you know, as much going on to be added to this too. So she's not having it. She's like, no. But what was interesting is she makes the comment about the Marceau on the internet is not the Marceau. I'm sorry, the Martell on the internet is not the Martell that I know, you know, that I grew up with or something, and I know. And I'm just like, what? Girl, I know you his manager and all, and I know you got to spend things for him, but come on now. We're going to stop with that. Because what the Martell on the internet is the Martell that Martell has put on the internet. No one's making Martell be anything other than he is. Martell is doing it to himself. Martell was in a relationship, a married man, had a child while he was married, had a side piece, a mistress, for many years during his marriage. What is it that people are painting on you that is not yours? No one's putting anything on you, Martell. Then you proceed to act in the most juvenile and childish ways. And it's a constant thing with you trying to do things to Melly. So, like, what exactly is it that people are... I just really hate when people, you know, make decisions and people call them out on those decisions. And now their reputation and who they are suffers because of those decisions, and then they want to just paint this picture of, they want to create a new narrative of like, oh, well, you know, I'm being painted to be this way. No, you're being painted to be the way you are. Your actions are what is painting the picture. Your actions. So I was just like done with his manager with that. Like, please. I don't know what Martell you saying you know, or whatever the case might be, but whatever. If that's not the Martell that you know, then that Martell you know need to show up on this daggone show every week, because the Martell we see on this show every week and this Martell we seeing on the internet is messy Martell and Martell with, you know, trifling Martell. Like, it is what it is. And so yeah, so they were talking about, you know, all of that, and, you know, she makes that comment, you know, and it looks like Martell is trying to, you know, bounce back, get a lot of his businesses and things like that, you know, together. And, you know, as we heard through the show, like, he's lost some business deals, and there was, you know, a lot of things that were a direct consequence of, you know, everything that happened, you know, with the divorce, with a lot of the, you know, the publicity of, you know, the story, and things are, you know, basically his life in shambles or whatever, and people not wanting to do business with him at the time, and just even some of the things on his own in regards to him not having a builder's license, and Melody having a builder's license, and, you know, with them splitting and severing ties with their businesses and things like that. He doesn't have a builder's license, so he's not, you know, there was an opportunity that he no longer was being considered for because he doesn't. So just a combination of, you know, different things that have caused him to lose business deals, which in turn has caused him to miss out on financial opportunities. So he did talk about how he did suffer financially and things like that. I don't wish that on anyone. You know, I don't wish anyone to lose, you know, their finances or business opportunities or anything like that. But we all just have to be responsible, and we all have to be aware that our decisions have consequences. And, you know, sometimes those consequences can be financially. And in this case, that's what it was. So, but anyway, so now we move on to, Tiffany Meets Up with Stormy. So this scene was like all over the place. So Tiffany meets up with Stormy, and now it starts off a bit rocky. And so then I think that, okay, it's turning around. Okay, it looks like it might be going to a good place. And Tiffany goes on a rant, and she's going on, and Stormy is over it. And she tells her finally, like, I zoned out 5 sentences ago. I like to just fall out when Stormy looked up at her like, listen, I checked out of this story like 5 sentences ago. And Stormy just wasn't here for it. She didn't want to, I don't know. It didn't seem like she was even interested or whatever. She totally changed the topic to something else right afterwards. And then they did start talking about Stormy's fertility. I forget what led to, what led to that. Oh, I think Tiffany, they were talking about, Tiffany said something about she loves being a mother. And from there, she asked Stormy if, she wanted more children. And Stormy went into the issue about, her pregnancy and her fertility and things like that or whatever. So that's actually how they got there. So, I mean, I don't know. They didn't seem to me to be in any better place than before the conversation. Stormy, I think Stormy is sticking with her original comments that she wasn't feeling Tiffany and that it was something about Tiffany. I don't think this meetup is going to lead to really much of a friendship with them. I really don't. I think that, maybe they'll just maybe they could be a little cordial and it could be in a little better place or whatever, but I don't know. I don't see it. Because even by the end of it, when Tiffany was like, well, are we good or something or whatever? And Stormy was just kind of like, we're working on it or something, something that she said that was just kind of like, I mean, you could have just said like, yeah, we're good, So Tiffany's aware you're not going to be best friends overnight or, anything like that. So I don't know. But I think that I don't think, like I said, I don't think that they're going to, I don't think this is going to be a start of anything. I think Tiffany and Stormy will be back in it again. I think they'll bump heads and they'll be back into it again, I think. I don't know. Just my thoughts on that. So finally, we get to the finale scene for the night, with Tisha meeting up with her cousin Kiki. So they meet up at the Black Lounge. So, they meet up, of course, quickly until they meet up, they get into the whole thing about, what Kimmy had told Tisha. So, Tisha tells her, well, I met up with Kimmy. Kimmy had told me that you were at Mel's, pajama party. And, Tisha proceeds to tell her different things that Kimmy had said in regards to some of the conversation was about her and, her personal business and things like that. And so, well, Kiki is like, well, you told my personal business. So Kiki just goes ahead and does a whole little 180 twist on her. Like, well, you told my personal business. So supposedly it's apparent that Kiki is upset about something from 4 years ago or so that occurred between Tisha and her, where Tisha had told Melody and Martell some of her personal business. I don't know. This whole thing was kind of strange because, Tisha's defense was that because you were invited to Melody and Martell's house through me, I only felt that it was fair that I told them, whatever it was that she told them that she told them. And I'm just like, well, what in the hell was her personal business that she was going through at that time? Because the girl was just invited to their house, correct? Why would it have been a need to tell somebody's personal business just for an invite to a house? So I don't know. They never divulged what she was going through at the time. So, I have no idea, but it just seems so crazy because it's like, okay, why would you have needed to tell someone's personal business because someone was invited to someone's house? I don't know. Was she going through a kleptomaniac, kleptomania phase or something? Where, she had to tell because she was afraid her cousin was going to steal all their stuff? I don't understand what it could have been that you had to tell someone's personal business just because they were invited to your house. So I don't know. That whole thing is kind of strange to me. So they go on in a conversation. They're going back and forth. And then at one point, Tisha is saying, oh, I told you that wasn't true. It wasn't true. And then Kiki's like, well, you apologized for it. You had already apologized for it. And you apologized for what you did. You apologized and all this other stuff. And I was really confused because Tisha is saying in one sense, it's like she's saying that what you were told wasn't true. But then in another sense, she was admitting that she had apologized for it, and I thought we moved on from it. So the whole issue, the whole conversation, the whole beef, everything is extremely confusing because I'm just I don't know what the heck is going on. Because number one, Kiki, why are you bringing this up 4 years later? That's first of all, if you never got over it, then why is she just now knowing you never got over it? And then for Tisha, if you apologized for it and said that you did say it already, then why are you saying that you didn't say it? Then she makes the comment about, oh, do you think that maybe, I guess saying Mel, do you think that maybe what Mel told you wasn't true? And Kiki's like, well, listen, if what she told me wasn't true, then maybe I could think that what she said wasn't true or that she lied. But since what she said was true, I believe it. I believe it came from you. I believe you said it. So I don't know. This was a weird encounter. I don't know. In the end, Tisha basically says something about, well, how about we just, cut ties or whatever is what she ends up saying in the end. And honestly, family or not, looking at the way this situation is going, they should cut ties because this is ridiculous. Like, number one, why would Kiki take the invite to Melody's house knowing that Tisha is not going to be there? Because come on, you knew she wasn't going to be there. And if you did, you should have asked. You should have asked. So, like, number one, taking an invite to Melody's house, it seems like your whole goal was to be shady from the beginning. And then once you got there, then talking about certain things about Tisha's personal business and, just making comments that you really shouldn't have been making. So, that's one thing. And then with Tisha, like, you're no better friend either, because if you are saying things, I don't know, it just seems like you are trying to justify telling someone's business. You're trying to justify it with, oh, I had to say something because of this, or I said something because of that. But it just still, I guess maybe if we knew what the business was that was told, maybe it could make more sense. But from what I saw, it doesn't make any sense to me, because I don't know what my personal business would have to be divulged just by an invite to someone's home. Like, we're not going on vacation. It was an invite to someone's home. So I don't know. I don't see Tisha having a leg to stand on with that. I think that it was a situation where Tisha was probably being messy and probably telling things that she shouldn't have told, and then trying to create, a new narrative of why she said it or justifying it is what I think. I don't know. But anyway, this episode was an interesting episode, this past week. I'm hoping that I don't know. I'm hoping that it changes a little bit. It's just a little too, I don't know. It's a different kind of messy this season. It's just giving high school and just giving, I don't know. It's just giving a telephone game or something. Like, I don't know. I don't like what this season is giving so far. So I don't know. Hopefully we will, I don't know. Hopefully we have better episodes to come. I don't know. I hope we do. But I don't know. Either way, I'll be watching because that's what I do. So anyway, until next time, toodles.